Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sammy, United People's TV. Tonight we play Ipswich, and I've just started a poll to get your votes in. Who do you think's going to win tonight? Yeah, come on. If United can't beat Ipswich. Oh, my God. They've conceded 17 goals in the last 5 games, all right? They are one of the bottom 3 teams. They have been there all season long. Southampton, Ipswich, and Leicester. You'd be amazed if it's not those 3 that go down. But anyway, we're going to be previewing the game a little bit later in the show. I gave you my starting 11 video. I'm going to run through the starting 11 with you later in the show, and you can let me know which you agree with and which you don't. We're also going to run through Amorim's press conference, and I think there's a pretty good press conference, actually. There's quite a few decent talking points. Amorim, no, I wouldn't say staunchly, but defending Hojlund, just sort of explaining the problems inside the squad, inside the team creation. Also, he spoke about the pressures of the players. He spoke about recruitment. And I'm going to speak about Chris Vivell being made the permanent and actually the first ever director of recruitment that we've had officially. And as always, there's more to run through, which I will cover in the show. And you're going to be getting involved in the comments, firing your questions, whatever you fancy, in the chat. Let me see who's here this morning. Alex, thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships, dude. I apologise I haven't been in contact with you. I'm going to message you after this because we need to talk about the community, as always. Good morning to you. Josh, hope you're all right, buddy. I saw you said you've been in hospital, so I hope you're all good. Ant, you're there as well. Carl, you're there as always at the start of the show. We've also got Volpez, we've got Brian Crocker, we've got Teresa, we've got Vince, we've got Shmee. Anyone else like Hook? I was going to watch Hook on Sunday, but I didn't. I love Hook. What a film. Mark, Giles, Rufio. No one's actually called Rufio in the comments, but somebody should be called Rufio. And we've got Rob. Good morning to all of you. Please do get involved. Fire any comments, any questions. But yeah, tonight is Ipswich. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm not looking forward to watching United tonight, but I'm looking forward to the idea that United can actually win a game of football, that United can actually... The overwhelming sense of negativity around our football club. Look, I know that so much is happening off the pitch, but Ruben actually brushed on this in his press conference. And it's something that I've been saying as well. All the focus and the laser focus and the hyper attention on everything that's happening off the pitch is because of what's happening on it. If Manchester United were winning games of football every week, there'd be a lot less energy towards everything else that's going on. Not in a sort of bury your head in the sand jobby, but when the football is in such a bad place, everything that is happening off of it, you're already in a mindset that it's going to sort of piss you off. I don't know the right way to describe it, but it's all sort of like compiling on top of each other. Now, you can get your votes in the poll. I can see 79% of you are saying so far that United will win. I do predict that United will win, but yeah, there is no way that I would put my own hard-earned money on United winning tonight. There's no way that I would bet on that, as much as I hope that we will. Rob, you're saying in normal circumstances, an easy win tonight, but nothing is normal. It doesn't matter the fact that Ipswich have conceded 17 goals in the last 5 games, pumped by, Liverpool, pumped by Spurs, pumped by City, I think. Let's find out. See what you said down here. Rob saying, good morning. Decided to put my head above the parapet as I'm actually at my computer at the correct time. How you doing? Nice to see you there, dude. Brian, saying, I'm just not confident we can win. I live in hope, but with this squad, we just don't create enough and the players are scared. And speaking about that, look, we're 15th in the league. Last season was our worst season in the league. We haven't won the league since 2013. We haven't won the Champions League since 2008. We've constantly got it wrong. We constantly, even after that season, that was the worst part, I think, post-Fergie. No, it wasn't the worst part post-Fergie for me. Worst part post-Fergie for me was Solskjaer, I think. Simply because I love the bloke. Still do. But yeah, the amount of pelters I was taking towards the end there for sort of supporting Solskjaer until I couldn't possibly support him anymore. But fans typically have always been supportive of what is going on at United. I would say I've heard more booing in the last, I don't know, like 6 months or so than I would have expected. But it's reflective of the fact that Manchester United Football Club is 15th in the league. 15th. That really is disgusting. And the players have to do something and give something back to the fans. And it has to start with tonight. Like, what more could you say? Like that game against Everton. First 70, just... Well, no, the first half was diabolical. The changes helped slightly change the momentum, but still we didn't look like we were going to score until Bruno bagged a free kick, and all of a sudden the players woke up and we played significantly better. Alex is saying, if either Casemiro or Eriksen start as central midfielder, I worry about stopping Hutchinson. Of course, he scored in the reverse fixture against us, kind of drifting into the half spaces on the right-hand side. So Dorgu will have to cover him, and whoever's playing left centre-back. Who's going to play left centre-back tonight? Probably Yoro. Probably, but don't know. Nervous about the game? Yeah, I'm nervous about the game. It's hard not to be nervous about United tonight. And speaking of nerves, segue. The amount of time that we talk on this channel and have talked about pressure, about the pressure of playing for Manchester United, about how it seemingly is something that burdens the players, that hampers their ability to play for our club. We're working now in the background on the latest deep dive, proper deep dive productions. They take a long time to do, but this one's going to be on the pressures of playing for Manchester United and how it's kind of destroyed so many players over the last 10 years. What is the reason? Is there any common denominator? Anyway, we're going to do a sort of a deep dive and an exploration of that. But Amorim was speaking about pressure in his pre-match press conference. I thought it was quite interesting to run through what he said. And he said, look, they feel the pressure that they need to win at United. And every time we lose and every time they don't perform, there are a lot of people on social media and in the newspaper that are putting on a lot of pressure. Then they go onto the pitch to try and fix things, but not in a good way. They're thinking too much. They're not playing the way they are supposed to play. The other people are talking about them all the time. All their friends, social media, former players, and they take it so personally. And sometimes it's really hard for them to turn things around. Now, I've spoken about this, and my sort of non-professional psychologist theory is that so many of these players are thinking about the consequences of getting things wrong before they've done it. Like the fear of the backlash is stopping them from trying something in the first place. So instead of doing so, you just pass it to a teammate. As long as I don't lose possession, no one can really have a go at me. You know what I mean? Just give it to Bruno. He can take the bullets. And invariably, that's why Bruno is probably scorned by more United fans than any other player, really, because he's the one who invariably tries things, whereas others kind of deflect that responsibility. And Siraj, you're saying down there they need to block off all social media platforms. And look, I honestly don't think that's possible. Because even if you look at Garnacho, for example, who I think he deactivated from Twitter, didn't he? He deactivated. But even if he deactivates, he'll just go on his WhatsApp when he's finished the game, and one of his friends will send him something. It won't be his fault, but somebody will ping him something that he'd rather not see. So even if a player manages to avoid looking at it directly, there will be an indirect that comes back. It must be impossible. But this is just not something that United have ever dealt with correctly. The emergence of social media has created a different footballing environment, but it's not stopped Liverpool, it's not stopped City, it's not stopped other clubs from thriving. Why is it that it's stopped Manchester United? And aren't you talking about mental strength being built, and we need a club psychologist? Well, let's go back to Ralph Rangnick and the person called Sasha Lense, who he brought in. It's why I was genuine. I wouldn't say I'm excited to see a psychologist in, but I'm like, oh, he's recognising the problem and bringing someone in to help with that. It does need to be overcome. So, damn it, I'm going to call you Sol. You are now known as Sol in the comments, and I'm going to keep ballsing up your username. It does need to be overcome. I like to think that, again, this probably is an advantage for Ruben Amorim as a manager compared to Erik ten Hag. Ruben Amorim's 39. Like, it was only a few years ago that he was playing. So he has played in the environment where social media exists. He can not only be empathetic with the players, but he can understand because he's dealt with it himself. So it should, in theory, of course, theory doesn't mean everything here. In theory, it should mean that the players can actually have a conversation with Amorim and he can relate to them a little bit more. Like if you look at Erik ten Hag, and I'm not really, there's no need to kind of look too deep into his interview that he did with his agent, Seg. But there was one part of it where he was saying, look, back in my day, players were thicker skinned. You could say what you want and players wouldn't get offended. It's really hard. You have to sort of pussyfoot around players now, which is correct. But that like you can piss and moan about it if you want. But that is just how society is now. You can moan and say it was, back in my day. You can do that if you want, and you'll just be old man moaning in the corner. Or you can try and adapt to society and what it is now. It's the norms. It's not just about football. It's what society is. So you have to approach management different. And clearly that was where Ten Hag butted heads with players. That's something that I think Amorim will be able to help them with. But whether they listen to them, whether the players listen to him, I don't know. What are you saying down here in the comments? Quite a few of you are talking about a psychologist. Well, I don't even know if anybody even bloody used a psychologist at Ralph Rangnick came in. Size of the club doesn't help. Of course it doesn't. The scrutiny at Manchester United, we all know. Real Madrid, bigger. Barcelona, equal. Then United. It's those three clubs where the scrutiny is just absolutely nuts. But that pressure deep dive that we're going to do I've been wanting to do that for so long because it's the thing that all United fans know, but it's kind of hard to articulate to anybody who isn't a United fan. And that's what I hope this deep dive will do, right? Now, let's move on and let's speak about, cheerier subjects, not. Mason Mount is closer to returning to football than Luke Shaw is. I don't even know what face to put anymore when I speak about Luke Shaw. There's a reason that I stepped away from the Luke Shaw camp before the season started. I said I had already checked out. Turns out I was right on that. And you want to know a little cheeky, horrible stat? I read the stat, so you've got to read this stat, all right? Good. If it's going to ruin my day, it's going to ruin your day as well. The last time Shaw started a game for United was over a year ago. And Mason Mount has only started 9 Premier League games since he joined 20 months ago for £60 million. Like, Mount had slight injury concerns maybe in his last season. But starting 9 games, if I do my maths correctly, 38 games last season. There's been 26 so far this season. So that's 38, that's 50, that's 64 games. And he started 9. 10% would be 6.4. So 9 is a roughly 15%. Mason Mount has roughly started 15% of the Premier League games where he has been a Manchester United player. Speechless. And the thing is like, I know that the comments are going to be down here. Oh, sell them all. Yeah, cool, that's easy enough. Find me someone that's nutty enough to pay money for Luke Shaw or Mason Mount with the injury problems that they've had. No one's going to. Mason Mount is going to... I understood the logic of signing Mason Mount at the time. When, in my mind, I was looking at the 1 number 6, 2 number 8 system that Ten Hag was going for. Mount and Bruno together with, what was supposed to be the season before Casemiro, dominating that number 6 role. I could understand it. It made sense. Hasn't exactly worked out, has it? And because it was 60 million, he's going to be a big old amortization cost. But no one, United will not sell Mason Mount because it would go down as a massive amortization cost. So he's going to be in next season, but what's he going to do? Play like 4 games? I don't know. Maybe Mason Mount comes through next season and plays 30 games. He won't. He won't. Feel sorry for him, but his body's just letting him down. I don't think he's purposefully getting injured. But United, of course, and this is something I completely agree with, we should have spent that 60 million better on more of a dominant central midfielder who played deeper rather than a number 8. But it's nuts. Dak, he's saying, never understood why anyone would have signed Mount. He's never been good enough. As I said, I understood the logic if we were playing that 2 number 8 system and it was going to work. As a high-pressing, creative number 8, as a complement to Bruno, I could understand it. Turn your phone on silent, Sam. You amateur. I can understand it. But get rid of both. Get rid of Casemiro, Shaw, Mount. I don't know who. Best case scenario, realistically, for Shaw, is we loan him out for a season, get his wages covered, and get a buy option included. No one's going to pay up front for Luke Shaw. No one in the right mind would. And Mason Mount, I think he probably stays. And then we deal with it the year after. I don't really know. Unreal. Anyway, speaking of successful signings, and I'm going to be speaking about recruitment next, by the way. And I'm doing a lunchtime video on it today because I feel so strongly about what I want to say on it. Hojlund, right? I did a video, was it yesterday? Day before? It was day before. On Rasmus Hojlund. I was like, it feels like the right, no, it was the day before because yesterday was the Ipswich starting 11. I thought it was the right time to have a conversation about Hojlund. Okay, he's got no goals in his last 16 games. He's got 2 Premier League goals for United this season. Any progress, any development that we saw in his first season, any potential and promise has been completely replaced by regression and a player completely bereft of confidence. Now, I'm going to run through what Amorim said about him in his pre-match press conference ahead of Ipswich, because Amorim has certainly, is it supported or defended Hojlund? It's probably a little bit of both, right? This is what he said. He said, look, we have to look at Rasmus as a player. He has the pace and he's got the technique. He scores some goals that are really hard to score. Sometimes he didn't choose the better run. Sometimes he's so anxious to touch the ball because he goes a lot of minutes without the ball and he moves away from the goal where he's supposed to be, especially in the final third. We address that in training, and sometimes it has to be the confidence of the player, but especially the way we play. And he goes, I think it's clear that we as a team aren't helping Rasmus Hojlund. We do not create a lot of chances. We have a lack of threat, and you can feel it in the games. Sometimes we're in the final third, but you don't feel like we are a very dangerous team. And you feel it is also when we're defending low, and sometimes the opponent is not afraid of transitions. So I have this feeling as a coach that we are not helping the strikers. Now, I don't think there's any United fan that would realistically disagree with that. We are not a threatening team. At all. We create what feels like, I don't know. How many big chances do you think we create a game right now? I'm not talking about like pop shots, crosses that are blocked. Like big chances. You're probably each game maybe 3 or 4 maybe. Something like that. I mean, it's not a massive number. And I want to ask you a question here first, right? What do you think is a like an elite conversion rate for an attacker, for a striker? So what percentage of his shots turning into goals? What would you say is like an elite conversion rate? I would honestly say, I'd say about 20%. So if a striker was to score 1 in 5 across the course of the season, if a striker was to score 1 in 5, I think it would be considered a pretty good conversion rate. Nasty, you're saying 70. James, you're saying 40. Afro saying 30. Alex saying 75. Anthony saying 60. Maybe I'm being a bit, don't know. Oh, there you go, Paraja. That's exactly the point I was making, because I thought I saw that stat. Erling Haaland's, are you sure on that? I suppose. Look. Erling Haaland's is 19% this season. Anything above 30 is considered elite, someone's saying down there. Nicholas Jackson currently has the best conversion rate in the Premier League at 25.8%. Oh, there you go. Elite conversion rate apparently is around about 30%. We'll call it that. 1 in 3. We don't create anywhere near enough chances for Rasmus Hojlund. We've known that. We always have known that. We haven't created enough chances, period, for a long-ass time. But at the same time, this is the thing. This is why it's such an interesting conversation around Hojlund. That is true at the same time as Hojlund just, like, everything is difficult for him. First touches, making the wrong runs, holding the ball up, giving himself 2 yards of separation between him and the defender so he can actually use his body rather than just being out-strengthed by everybody. Yeah, I don't know who's sitting there with a conversion rate of 75%. Wow. Alex, looking at you there. Looking at you. But this is the final thing that he said on Hojlund. He goes, I think Hojlund has a lot of potential. If we improve the way that we play the game, he will have more opportunities to score. He came here very young. And when you're young to be the number 9 and play all the time, it's hard. It's everything together, and that's the context. And I think, well, I imagine Amorim has had plenty of conversations behind the scenes with Hojlund. I'll ask the chat now, what do you think is the correct thing to do with Hojlund next season, right? Open the floor. It can be anything. If you want to sell him, you can sell him. If you want to loan him, you can loan him. If you want him to stay and be like second choice, or you'd rather we sign 2 strikers, what do you think is the way that United can get the most out of Hojlund from this point? Because his first season showed lots of promise. Didn't score until Villa. It was frustrating. He was banging them in the Champions League, though, and then he scored against Villa, the late winner in front of Stretford End, and went on a run before he got injured. And then he got injured, came back, didn't score for a while, but got 16 goals in his first season. There was more than enough in that first season for me to go, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. And, of course, Amorim coming in, I was excited to see him playing under Amorim because you looked at Gyökeres and you can see some, well, not too many characteristics that are the same, I suppose, but Hojlund does have the pace and power to run in behind, and he does have strength, and he can finish. Just not seeing any of it. Now, let me read some of your comments out here. Adam Maestro, and you're saying all on loan, and so is Shax. Sub-striker says Brian. Sell him, says Jonathan. Buy an established striker and bring in Hojlund as rotation. Loan to a mid-table, loan to Nice. Quite a lot of you are saying loans. I don't really... Would a loan spell benefit him? More to the point, would a loan spell benefit United? Because if you move him on, then you need to bring in 2 strikers, no? Connor, you're saying get a striker similar to Ibra or Cavani to help support him. And that's my personal position on Hojlund, is we need to sign some, whether it's, I know lots of people are speaking about Osimhen. Whoever it is, and I'm going to be speaking about recruitment next, and about our policy of going for the younger players and how, I actually think it's something positive. I don't think that's the case when it comes to a striker. We need an experienced goal scorer up front. Now, Liam Delap doesn't really fall into that. Might have the Premier League experience, though. So what are you valuing more there? Somebody who's played in the Premier League for a season and for a potentially, relegated team? Or is it just an age thing? Because Osimhen would come with age and experience, but not Premier League experiences. So you value what's most important. I think we need to sign a striker who's just been doing it for a few years. But they're going to be very limited. I don't know who else would fall into that category. You could say Jonathan David, because we could sign him on a free. Is he really going to be the top-level striker that comes in and Hojlund can learn from? Questionable. He'd probably score some goals. Someone saying Matheus Cunha down there. Look, man, Matheus Cunha, I think he's got a £60 million release clause in his contract. It's possible. Quite a few of you are talking about Mateta. Man, that goal he scored last night. Palace absolutely whooped Villa. Whooped them. Could have been more than 4 as well. Isaac, there's no chance we can afford Isaac. He's north of 80 to 90. Cunha could be an option, right, at 60 mil. But I just don't think United will spend more than 50. Someone saying Osimhen and Jonathan David. I don't know. Osimhen's going to be an option. Cunha's going to be an option. Delap will be on the list. Gyökeres, I think, is too much. And for that reason, I'm probably going to say Cunha's too much. Jonathan David, because he's free, don't be surprised if he becomes an option for United. Either way, I think Hojlund starts tonight, and he's certainly got the backing of his manager because Amorim chose to focus on United's lack of chance creation rather than Hojlund's lack of finishing. Because if you're talking about how many big chances Hojlund gets a game, minimal. Volpez, it's a question I've always asked as well. Why isn't any other team really going after Jonathan David? I don't really know. I've always found it slightly confusing because he's been banging them in for Lille? I think it's Lille. For like 3-4 seasons now. And every summer, his name pops up and then nothing really happens. I've always found it a bit odd. Don't know why. Anyway, this is definitely going to be a lunchtime video. Someone down there did a mentioning Guirassy. It really annoyed me, that one. Really annoyed me. What would it have been a risk to sign Guirassy? Oh, is he overperforming? Is he just having like this all breakout season with, I think it was Stuttgart? You could be taking a risk, but he's 17 million. That's a gamble you can afford to take because it's 17 million. You can afford to bring him in on the wages that won't be 200-300 grand a week that might ruin your structure for years. And Dortmund hit the bullseye, man. He's had player of the season. He's banging in goals left, right, and centre. We could have had him for less than 20 mil. Marcus Thuram went to Inter on a free. Been banging him in for a couple of years now. Would both of those signings have been risks? Yep. But this is the thing. Man United are going to have to take risks with recruitment, but they're going to have to make these risks pay off. Someone down there mentioning Sesko. Sesko is your premium top money striker. Sesko, Gyökeres, Osimhen are your absolute top level. But yeah, Thuram was available on a free. We didn't even look at him. Guirassy was available for like 17.5 million. We didn't even look at him. It's just odd. This is why you have to get better at recruitment, which is exactly what my next conversation is going to be about. Neil, you sent a super chat. What are you saying? Sick of hearing about signing an established striker. Strikers need first-time crosses and creative players actually seeing his movements. We don't do any of this. No striker is scoring in this team. Now, Neil, I'm not saying that we sign a striker and all of a sudden our goal-scoring problems are solved. Signing a striker in the summer comes at the same time as Man United signing a new right wing-back. Comes at the same time as Manchester United signing probably an inside forward and another central midfielder, given that Eriksen's going to leave and we should be selling Casemiro. So when you combine all those together, United will be creating far more next season and will then have the focal point of the new striker, the tip of the arrow, if you want to call it that. But recruitment. Look, I know this football club has got so many problems. Right? Left, right, and centre. On the pitch, off the pitch. Absolutely everywhere you're looking. Problems. But Ruben Amorim speaking about the recruitment here. He said, look, I think we need to show. It's easy for me to be here and say all the pretty stuff, but we have to improve recruitment. It's crucial. We need to improve the team. We need to perform better and be in Europe and not be in our position now. And when it comes to recruitment, I've said this so often because I know it's true. You can, like right now, perfect example is City, right? They're finally wobbling. Now, partly this is going to be a burnout of the fact that they've been winning so much and it's hard to sustain that. But also, City have started to miss in the transfer window, in the last couple of windows. And previously, they were just not missing at all. But now that they're starting to miss, they're starting to stumble. And United have been missing the boards so often. I go back to the summer and I look at the signings that we made. Do I think it was the most incredible summer in the world? No, I don't. Do I think it was the best summer that we've had in a while? Yes, I do. And I still stand by that. That's kind of how bad our summers have been for a long-ass time. The fact that last summer, I think quite easily was our best summer in a while because we actually started selling some players. United getting this right. And look, you can look at Patrick Dorgu, right? Was a player who was on our radar when we were looking at potential younger signings last summer. Improved at Lecce, and we signed him for, 20 mil? Thereabouts. Of course, we're in early stages. We're in the honeymoon period for Patrick Dorgu. Will he continue? Well, I think that will depend on what happens with the team around him. But this is news that came out yesterday. I don't think it warranted a separate video because I've already had a whole conversation about Chris Vivell, what he does, his time with the Red Bull Group, his time there, identifying players, the links that he established. Yeah. If you want to, you can go and watch that. But Chris Vivell got made yesterday the first permanent director of recruitment. So that's the first officially titled director of recruitment. We previously have had John Murto in charge, Matt Hargreaves, Richard Arnold probably got involved in some way, shape or form. It's never been somebody at the top who's in charge. And he's signed it. Let's run through what David Ornstein's reported on this about the details of it and then have a little conversation, all right? Manchester United have appointed Chris Vivell as Director of Recruitment on a full-time basis following his interim spell in the position. Vivell signed a short-term deal last summer, and of course, that short-term deal he was, what was it? Director of Global Talent. I think that's what his job title was. Now he's Director of Recruitment. With a view to potentially staying at Old Trafford permanently, and he has now put pen to paper on a multi-year contract. And fair play to Chris for actually accepting a reduced salary. Helps the club. Good. Which underlines his desire and commitment to occupy a key role in the Ineos-led rebuild of United over a prolonged period. He'll report into Jason Wilcox, and that's kind of all you need to know, really. I still think, in the goodness of time, there's a chance that Chris Vivell actually steps up and works as part of the multi-club model. But I think United have actually, Ineos have got to get United right first. Let's be totally honest, before you start thinking about a multi-club model. Did it. Stephen, you're feeling chipper as always in the comments. We gave Fernandez away and then spent 26 mil on Dorgu. We gave away players. That's all right, isn't it, mate? You're always here to help, Stephen. Always here to help with the chat. Fernandez, was that a mistake? It certainly was, because at that time, that's when, if I remember correctly, Erik ten Hag was told by the staff that Shaw and Malacia would both be fit for the second half of the season, so you didn't need Fernandez, so we let Fernandez go. Was it Fernandez went in the summer? I think Fernandez went in the summer, actually. And then we had, what's his name? Reguilon. And then Reguilon was then sent back to Spurs. I think so. Hey, mate, I'm not saying that our recruitment's fucking perfect right now, in no way, shape or form. But I do think, compared to the seasons that have happened before, our recruitment was better. It was. And now we talk about what's coming ahead and coming forward. It's very clear that Man United, you can like it or lump it, Man United have got a strategy now when it comes to transfers. It is about identifying younger players. It is about identifying talents. Sometimes with Euro, you pay big for it. Sometimes you take a chance. Someone like Diego Leon. Someone like Sekou Kone. But we need these to work. We need to identify gems, sign players who go on to become very good players. We cannot afford to shop at the top table anymore. That's the reality. That is our football club. Because we've shopped at the top table before and we bought the wrong fucking thing about 30 times. That's why we can't do it anymore. We've wasted our own money. We've put ourselves, well, not completely just us, but United's crap recruitment over a prolonged period of time is one of the fundamental reasons we are in the position we are in as a club. And the easiest way out is to get your recruitment right. For Dorgu to be a hit. For whoever we sign in the summer to be a hit. This summer, we cannot afford any more Mason Mounts. Any more second season Rasmus Hojlunds. We need, if we can just make, if we made 4 signings this summer, a right wing back, a striker, an inside forward, and a central midfielder. If we make those 4 signings, and they're going to be in the region of 30 to 50 million pounds each, max, probably not 50, but somewhere around about 30 to 50 mark. And they all become influential first team. They don't all have to be transformative, but together collectively. If you get 4 right this summer, this team looks totally different next season. Totally different. And if you do that for 2 to 3 consecutive summer windows, all of a sudden you have a squad. All of a sudden you're building something. All of a sudden there's momentum. The momentum is generated through correct recruitment. I know people going down there saying 75 million on Hojlund. It's nuts. I was told by Steve this morning, big up Steve, part of the research team. Andy Mitten said on Talk of the Devils that PSG and Spurs both outbid United for Hojlund. I need to go and listen to that episode. I'm going to go down here and read some of your comments. Ice Cold Moe, you're saying. To be honest though, Sam, United is not the type of club who can go for young, unproven wonder kids like Ajax or Dortmund and other clubs. They have the correct environment to gamble on young. Issue is, I agree with that. Problem is, that's now the situation we are in. And that's why I think there's zero chance of us signing Victor Gyökeres. I question whether we can afford Victor Osimhen. I don't think we can afford Matheus Cunha. That's why we need this man in every single. And I can't prove this, but I guarantee you, in every position where United need a signing this summer, there are players out there in the market who would be perfect and maybe aren't the top level, maybe aren't exactly the names that people are speaking about. But I guarantee you, in the world, those players exist, and it is up to Chris Vivell to find them. And it might be like finding a needle in a haystack, but it shouldn't really be with the amount of data that United have got now and the amount of scouts that we've got. That's what he has to do. He has to find the players that we don't really speak about. He has to find the Osimhen who isn't Osimhen yet. He has to find Kenda's obvious as a right wing back. Who would you say in central midfield? You could speak about Ederson from Atalanta, but Ederson's going to be, 50, 60 mil. So find that player who is maybe a year lesser in his development, who's about half the price, and bring him in. That's what he has to do. That's his job, not our job. It's not our job as United fans to go out there and watch all the football in the world and to know about all these signings, but it's bloody his job. And that's what we have to get right. Because we can't afford to just go for the top levels anymore. Mike, you're talking about Sanderberg. Do you remember when Sanderberg came around and was an option? And the amount of, United fans are going to... You can't... Well... It's like turning your nose up at players. Remember Sadio Mane? I always remember this one. Sadio Mane, when Louis van Gaal wanted him from Southampton. Remember that? Jonathan, you're talking about Wharton and Rodgers. Wharton and Rodgers. How much have you got, dude? Well, actually, no. What you're saying there is the fact that both of those players... Was Morgan Rodgers signed? No, Morgan Rodgers was signed from City, I think. But Adam Wharton, Dougie Freedman and Palace do it perfectly. Signing the creme de la creme from the Championship. People look down on the Championship and go, I know so many United fans do it. There are gems in the Championship. I'm not talking about players who are going to come in and guaranteed to be a starting 11 player for United, but we need a squad at the same time. Adam Wharton is a very, very good example. Tyler Dibbling, I think he's probably going to be a lot of money. Either way, this for me is everything. Getting the recruitment right. I feel quite strongly about it. Whether we get it right or not, I don't know. I wouldn't put money on it. Because you can't, you can't possibly trust that United are going to get recruitment right. Can you? Because of all the recent history that we have had over the last 10, 15 years. But at least the strategy is obvious. We are going to try and sign younger players, 22 or under. We're going to sometimes look towards different markets, South America, Africa as well. They might not be the most established players in that sense, but they're going to come into maybe the younger teams first. But what about signings that could make a difference to the first team? Where are the Ossimans that no one's speaking? I'm not going to repeat myself now, but you get the point. I want United to be linked with names that people aren't necessarily speaking about. I want to be surprised about names and have to do my research. These are the signings that I think they're not guaranteed to take United forward. But I tell you what's guaranteed to make United go bust. Another signing like Casemiro. Another signing like Mason Mount. Another signing like Rasmus Hojlund. We quite literally cannot afford any expensive mistakes now. Because we've made so many of them before, we've taken away our own ability to do it. I'm not surprised to read this this is from the Telegraph yesterday. Basically what the suggestion of the article is that other clubs who have bought players from United that have sell-on percentages as part of it are now going to offer United upfront some cash because they know that we're cash-strapped to try and take that sell-on clause out of it. So Hannibal to Burnley, he's got one. Marseille and Greenwood, they've got one. It's smart and cheeky at the same time. I don't know whether actually anybody will do it, but if you think about it, if you go to United right now and we're so strapped for cash and you just give them a low ball saying, we'll give you a couple of million if you take out that sell-on clause, there might be a player maybe with Hannibal and Burnley that they take it. We'll find out. Yeah. And recruitment is everything, man. Right, let's speak about... I can't bother to speak about that. Oh, I'll give him 1 minute then. Sorry, Eric. Erik ten Hag, there was an interview yesterday with Seg, who I believe is his agent, and that's the agency that he's part of, and he was just speaking about United. There was nothing juicy in it, if you want to call it that, because he's going to be under NDA. You know, it took 2-3 years to hear anything really from Louis van Gaal. Same thing will go with Erik ten Hag. You won't hear him speak about Manchester United for a few years. Not in the way that maybe some of you want him to speak about Manchester United, about the problems behind the scenes. He'll be under NDA, but he said this, and I thought, this post just reminded me how wicked this photo is. He goes, if there's one thing I miss, it's Old Trafford. And I remember that photo. I think that might have been the first game for Erik ten Hag at United, at Old Trafford. Who was his first game against? Was it Brighton? Was that his first game? It was, because he lost his first 2 games, didn't he? Lost against Brighton and Brentford. I think that was against Brighton. But I remember that photo being taken. I thought that was an absolutely top-class photo. Anyway, that's it. There's nothing else that we have to speak about from that interview. Now, to end the show, we can actually speak. Yeah, good. Brighton. It was Brighton. Brentford was away. We lost that game, didn't we? Woohoo! Fantastic news. Right. Ipswich. Ipswich was Amorim's first game. Away, of course. 1-1 draw. Rashford scoring after 2 minutes. Everyone getting hypey. We started the game strongly, and then we didn't. And then Hutchinson scored, and then they had a much better second half. Let me check what the poll's saying, all right? We have 1,200 votes. Thanks for getting involved, everyone. 78% of you are saying a United win. 14% are saying draw, and 9% are saying an Ipswich win. I might as well end the poll there. Team news for tonight. You won't see Seka Kone in the squad. He played for the under-21s last night. They lost 3-0. Who else is in here? You won't see Jack Morehouse. You won't see Kakonki. Looks like you will see Cheeto. No Cheeto in the squad last night. You'll probably see Eli Harrison on the bench as well, because I don't think the Bayendi is fit. But anyway, Cheeto, you'll definitely see in the squad. Now, this was the starting 11 that I predicted. And you can let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I went for Yoro as the wide centre-back. I thought that Mazraoui, with the sort of knee concern, I think he was just going to be rested. He might not be. He might be fit to start. I don't know. But I've gone Yoro as a wide centre-back. I would prefer, honestly, one of Maguire or De Ligt to start. I think with both of them, we're too cumbersome in defence. Because they're both like big, bulky, turn a circle of a truck defenders. I'd rather one of them play as a central centre-back rather than one play as the wide central centre-back. We'll find out. Of course, Aiden Heaven, I don't think he'll make his debut from the start, but we'll find out. In midfield, I've got, Bruno Nagate for me is the best that we've got. For the rest of this season, it's the best that we have. Is it perfect? No. It isn't. And I still question whether Bruno would be... I keep sort of dragging myself between the two. I'd rather Bruno play deep because he's better deeper compared to what he's got around him, but I'd rather Bruno close to goal so we can actually create opportunities. But that's why I've gone for Eriksen starting in the number 10 instead of Garnacho in this game. Firstly, I'd rather see Garnacho come off the bench. He's just better off the bench, right? And if you're looking at what was good last against Everton in the first half, it was Dorgu and Bruno's link-up. So I think Bruno, Dorgu and Eriksen together would probably be even better. And put Yoro behind them. That could be brilliant. We're probably going to be... Now, if you were to look at this, Bruno, Yoro, Dorgu and Eriksen, you're looking at ball players, you're looking at good interlink. You can see how United can progress down the left. And then you go De Ligt, Ugarte, Dalot and Xerxes. And you're like, we're not going to be progressing down that right much. And we're not really progressing down the right much at all because of Dorgu. Hojlund up front. I don't think he'll start Cheeto. But Cheeto got 3 minutes against Spurs, 20 minutes against Everton. So by that logic, maybe we'll see Cheeto get 30, 35 minutes, maybe even the second half. I don't know. Let's find out. What positions in this formation do you disagree with, or what do you agree with? I don't know. You let me know, and I'll chop and change it. I think what you could see difference-wise, you could see Garnacho start up front. You could see Eriksen play deeper, but I think we've seen it a couple of times now where Eriksen and Bruno have both played, but Bruno's played deeper than him. You could get Mazraoui in as one of the centre-backs. Kakonki won't be in the squad tonight. Heaven might be in there. Could make his debut. Don't think Fredrickson will be there either. I'll take Fredrickson out. Whoop. Collier, we don't know if he's fit. Jack Fletcher won't be in there either, and neither will Jack Morehouse. 45 minutes of Cheeto's second half. Can't we just dump Hojlund the garbage for another midfielder then? Aren't you a chipper guy? No. You think United playing what with a false nine? We did that once with Bruno, didn't we? That didn't work. I would much rather see Mazraoui and Yoro start as the wide centre-backs. Hell, I'd probably even like to see Delo starting as one of the wide centre-backs. I don't know. I don't personally think that we'll see Chilo start tonight. But what's your predictions then? What's your score predictions in the comments? Mine was a twitchy 2-1. That's what I called it. I don't think it's going to be an enjoyable game to watch. I just don't think United will be an enjoyable... You know what I would love to see? A goal from United in the first half. A goal from United in the first half. I still can't believe how disgusting that stat is. 20 out of 26 Premier League games this season where we have not scored in the first half. That's so mad. That's unreal. Now, John, Stephen, you're both saying 2-1. Gus, you're saying 2-1 as well. Brian, you're saying 1-1. Jason going for a 3-1. Mark with a 2-2. Same as Anthony. Jordan with a 6-1. Drinking this early, Jordan. Jeez. Squeaky 1-0. 3-1. Chido with the winner. 1-1 says Ant. Yeah, I'm going for like a twitchy, nervous 2-1. But United got to win tonight, right? Beating Ipswich will not be the sort of, everything's fine again. This is one of those lose-lose games. Win, you were supposed to win. Lose, all hell breaks loose. That's why we need to win tonight. Just avoid that. Avoid the noise that a loss would create. And I'm not going to say it. Anyway, 2-1. That's my prediction. Let's find out if I'm right or wrong. But today's lunchtime video is going to be about the recruitment. I'm going to go in a little bit more depth on that. And you can let me know what you think. I'll be here after the game, as always. So make sure you tune in for that match reaction. Winning would be great for us. It would be nice to win a game of football, which is strange. But even when we had that run where we won, 5 out of our last 6 games, you look back and you go, it's not felt like that at all. It's felt like a while since United have had momentum on the pitch. Could start tonight against Ipswich and can be continued against Fulham at the weekend. And then we've got Sociedad and Arsenal. And then Sociedad again. Got 3 big games after this week. We'll find out. Ipswich won't make it easy. Liam Delap's going to be a handful. Hutchinson will be a handful. And they're going to be dangerous from set pieces. Let's find out if we cope. Take it easy, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. As always.